Well then, I guess it's finally time we talk about relics. There are 4 basic tiers of relics: Lith, Meso, Neo, and Axii, which roughly corresponds to the level of content you need to do to obtain them, Lith being the lowest, Axii being the highest. And we also have 4 Requiem relics, which are different to the normal relics because they're used within the Lich and Sister systems. Now, we have 2 different systems that are used to rotate relics around. We have Prime Access and we have Prime Resurgence. Every now and then, DE releases a new Primed Access that introduces a new Primed Frame and its signature weapons or a signature companion. This introduces a bunch of new relics into the reward pool, usually 12. 3 of each. At around the same time though, they will take the relics from the oldest Prime Access that's currently in the reward pool and shove it over to Varzia's shop, where old Prime Access relics rotate every 2 weeks and can be purchased with Aya. This isn't the only way to get old relics though, because all relics are tradable, so you can simply buy these relics from someone else, even if they're currently not available as a drop or from Varzia. However, if you want to get relics yourself, you're gonna have to do some farming, which is usually done in endless missions, but not always. You can get relics from bounties, you can get them by purchasing relic packs, whether it is via syndicates or even with Steel Essence, or you can simply do missions in the Void, because whenever you finish a mission in the Void, you will get a random relic as a reward, though sometimes this can be replaced with Aya. For Lith relics, I would either recommend Habit in the Void for fast capture runs or Olympus on Mars. Disruption is generally the best for relic farming because you can go through the rounds very quickly. However, with Olympus, once the enemy levels get high enough, you will start to get Meso relics instead. Speaking of Meso relics, you can either just continue doing Olympus to get Meso relics as well, or you can do IO on Jupiter if you have a frame that can nuke through the defense waves very quickly. Or if you want something nice and quick, you can do the Yuko capture mission in the Void, though this will also reward you with the next tier. Neo relics, where you can either just continue doing Yuko or you can hop over to Uranus and do the disruption. Alternatively, if like me you prefer to do your leveling on the Sedna mission Hydron, you can simply farm Neo relics there, as they are the most common reward for waves 5 and 10. And finally, for Axii relics, the best mission by far is the disruption mission Apollo on Lua. I also want to give an honorable mention to Onslaught and Elite Sanctuary Onslaught, as it's something different and it rewards a decent amount of relics. With normal Onslaught, you can get Lith relics in the 2nd and 4th zone, Meso relics in the 6th zone, and then Neo relics in the 8th zone, which then resets and rotates again. And with Elite Onslaught, you get Lith and Meso relics in zones 2 and 4, Meso and Neo relics in zone 6, and then Neo and Axii relics in zone 8. Now, if you want to get some unvaulted relics that are available from Varzia's shop, you're gonna have to farm Aya, and you have a few options here. You can either spam capture missions in the Void, where you have roughly about a 6.7% chance to get Aya instead of a relic. You can buy relic packs, which can contain Aya instead of relics, or you can do high tier bounties. That's pretty much it. It kind of depends on what you want to do. If you want something nice and quick, you can spam capture in the Void, and if you want something with a little bit more gameplay, you can do bounties, and with any accumulated standing or Steel Essence, you can then buy packs. So, now that you have a bunch of relics, you're gonna have to open them. This is done via special event missions called fissures. These come in different tiers as well, so Lith, Meso, Neo, and Axii, and they randomly bounce around the star chart. The way these missions work is very straightforward. It's a regular mission, but every now and then a corrupted fissure opens, which either spits out a bunch of corrupted enemies or corrupts all the surrounding enemies. These corrupted enemies have a chance to drop reactant. Collect 10 reactant, and your relic will be cracked open. Now, if you're playing solo and you open a relic, you just get whatever you get, it's RNG. But if you're playing in a squad and the squad mates open their relics as well, you'll be given a choice at the end of the mission where you can either pick your reward or one of theirs. So running fissures in a squad, whether you're farming for equipment or ducats, is straight up superior. Opening relics will also reward you with void traces, which can be used to refine relics. It takes 25 traces to make a relic exceptional, 50 traces to make it flawless, and 100 traces to make it radiant. Doing this changes the percentage drop chances on the relic. The more you refine it, the more likely you are to get uncommon and rare stuff. Intact or unrefined relics have a 76% chance to drop a common item, 22% chance to drop an uncommon item, and a 2% chance to drop a rare item, and a fully refined radiant relic has a 50% chance to drop a common item, 40% chance to drop an uncommon item, and a 10% chance to drop a rare item, with flawless and exceptional being in between. Generally, if you're going for a common drop, you don't refine it at all and you leave it intact. If you're going for an uncommon drop, you can go flawless, but also exceptional if you don't have a ton of traces traces, and if you're after a rare drop, you go radiant. That's how I do it anyway, but everyone does it differently. It's also worth mentioning that any relic you get in Elite Sanctuary Onslaught is going to be radiant. This saves you a lot of traces if you're going for uncommon or rare items, but it's also great for Ducket farming, which is the next thing I want to talk about. Ducket farming, simply put, is opening relics with the intent to sell the acquired items to a kiosk in a relay to get ducats for the Barocketeer Void Trader. Now, generally, you don't refine your relics when you're Ducket farming, you just run in a full squad with intact relics and you get what you get. However, refining is still beneficial because uncommon and rare items sell for more ducats. You get 15 or 25 for common items, 45 for uncommon items, and 100 for rare items. However, I would only ever recommend doing it if you just want to speed it up or if you're about to cap your void traces, because you can't have an infinite amount of them, so if you're about to cap, you can refine some relics and run those. Because going from an intact to a radiant relic, which costs 100 traces, and that's quite a lot, will on average give you about 50% more ducats. So it's not that much better. Like on average, it's better to run a full squad with intact relics than to solo with a radiant one. And by the way, the numbers you're seeing on the screen, that's the average amount of ducats with relics that don't have forma on them, which are the best relics for farming ducats, because if your relic has forma, there's a chance you get forma, which you can't sell for ducats. I also want to mention that relics can be refined more than once at no extra cost. So if, for example, you refine a relic to exceptional, you can then refine it again into radiant and it will subtract the cost of the flawless refinement. So it will take 25 to refine it to exceptional, but only 75 to then get it to radiant. And while we're talking about things related to Barocketeer, I also want to mention that Barocketeer does have a few relics that he can sell. At the time of recording of this video, Barocketeer can sell Neo 01, Axie A2, Axie A5, and Axie V8. These are exclusive to Barocketeer, so you can either buy it from him or from another player that bought it from him. And that's pretty much all I know about the 4 basic tiers of relics. So I thank you very much for watching. As always guys, I hope you've enjoyed the video and found it helpful, and if there is anything else you would like to add to this, feel free to leave a comment down below. Then I would also like to extend a special thank you to all the channel members. Thank you very much guys, I really appreciate your support, it means a lot to me. And if you would like to become a channel member as well, by the way, you can check out the memberships and stuff down below. And I'll see you next time. Bye bye.